Hey guys, Alex here from alexfergus.com, and behind me I have the GWM Cannon X 2021 model. Now, for those of you that have checked out my LDV videos, you would have seen that I've been an LDV T60 user for a few years now. I've had two models, the first gen one and the facelift one, and then of course I had to play around with the brand new bi-turbo model a few months ago. So a few people have been asking me, hey, what do I think of the Cannon, and how does it compare, and which one would I recommend, or would I buy if I had to buy a new one right now? And I've never been able to answer that because I've never driven one of these. I've never even sat inside it until now. So I was fortunate to be able to finally get a test run in one of these, because I know that they've been in hot demand. People have been obviously buying a lot of them, but also just being able to get a few hours to take one for a drive has been difficult, because the dealers around here have so many demos and people wanting to check them out. So I'm very grateful for Auto City in New Plymouth here to let me have one of these for an afternoon play. Now, the one behind me is the manager's vehicle, so it has been kitted out a little bit. It's got some nicer wheels and tires. It's got the hard top on the back, the top rails as well. There's a few little extras on it which don't come standard. I will go through those as we do a little tour around the vehicle, but otherwise, like I said, this is the top spec one, which does give you a few nicer features inside. It's mainly, well, to be honest, I think it's all interior add-ons that you're getting. Now, I'll break that down a little bit later in this clip. Instead, what I want to do is just really share my first impressions. Like I said, I've had this for a few hours now. I've driven it around town. I took it out on the highway. I took it around some country roads. I haven't really taken it off-road, though I know technically right now I am off-road, but I haven't taken it or tested it to its true capability. I would really like to do that. Maybe one day I can have it for a weekend. It would be really cool if I had this for a weekend and one of the LDV T60s for a weekend, and put them really through their paces. Towed some heavy loads, went over the farm with it, did all that cool stuff. If you'd like to see that, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and I'll see what I can do. Like I said, it's been difficult getting access to these utes lately. When it comes to price, we have the base model, the Cannon L, two-wheel drive. These are New Zealand prices, $38,500 plus on-road costs. So this is your base model. You still got your 18-inch wheels, automatic, heated front seats, power front seat as well, which is good. Leather steering wheel, privacy glass, top-down camera. So pretty good options for a standard model, which is nice. When we go up to the Cannon L 4x4, you see that spec wise it's the same, but we do jump up, what is that, about $4,000, so $42,500. Remember, again, New Zealand dollars. And then when you go up to the X model, which is $3,000 extra, you're adding you're getting you're getting a digital display on the dash, which is nice. A couple of smart keys, wireless phone charging. I find that quite useful. You got the steering mode options, tilt slide steering column, which is useful if you got if you're buying it for a company or multiple drivers in and out all day, which is handy. What else? A nicer interior, and it is a lot nicer inside. Whether you care for that or not, obviously that's up to you, I guess. And a few other features as well, but that is $3,000 extra. So personally, I don't know if I could justify that. The digital dash I don't really care too much about. The split seats, I probably wouldn't use it. Wireless phone charging is nice, but I wouldn't spend $3,000 extra for that. So those are your pricing options. The transmission is quite nice. 8-speed. My T60 only has a 6-speed, I believe, and this is very smooth, especially on open road. Those extra gears at the top, I was sitting comfortably in 5th, 6th gear at 100 Ks. You almost don't need them, but it does make efficiency and just general highway cruising a lot nicer. I know a lot of people have rated the transmission, and yeah, it was, like I said, it was quite nice to drive around town. And it does have pedal shifters in this model as well. I think actually that's standard across the range. And I know a few people have said, like, hey, really, pedal shifters in a ute? Now personally, I really rate them. A lot of the vehicles I've driven over the last few years have them, and I love it. Not necessarily from a sports performance driving point of view, but just from the ability to, you know, downshift and use a bit of engine braking if you're coming into a corner, or if you want to overtake a vehicle and, you know, like you can be a bit quicker downshifting by hand, or just, you know, if you do feel like being a little bit sportier with your driving. So I do rate it. The one thing I don't like about the pedal shifters in this vehicle is I find they're a little bit too narrow. A few times I went to downshift and I sort of just got the top of the pedal itself. It almost needs to be thicker. One thing I will note though as well, there is quite a delay. It's not, you know, your BMW very responsive pedal shifting, you know, gear changing. It is quite slow. But again, this is a ute, and it's more of a, I guess they market themselves more as a base budget, lower end ute. Though when you look at it and you have a play around with it and drive it, it's definitely not the budget end ute that we've seen in years gone by. So GWM have done quite an amazing job on that front, especially coming at the price point. Like I said, this is about $40,000 or low $40,000 here in New Zealand. I don't have the Australian pricing with me. What else should you know? Well, it's putting out 120 kilowatts, which is more than my facelift T60. I think that's low 106 or thereabouts. Obviously, it's not the same amount of power as like a Ranger or a Hilux or something like that. But in all honesty, having driven my T60 with 100 kilowatts, it was fine. I mean, hey, I didn't do much towing though, so that may change things, but you know, it's still plenty of power if you put things in perspective and look back, you know, 10 years or so when it comes to utes. 400 Newton meters of torque, and I forgot the towing capacity. But when I did pick this up at the dealer, I was told that they'd towed some pretty big boats behind this, and yeah, it wasn't an issue at all. So there we go. But again, I don't really have any comments or feedback on that, sorry. From a safety point of view, I know they've now got a 5-star safety rating. I think they failed that last year back in 2021, but now if they go back and tweak something, those older models are bumped up to a 5-star. I remember seeing an article on that, so I apologize. I don't have all the data there. You can go off and look into it, but it's meant to be pretty good. All these new models now, the new 2021, 2022 models are meant to be top spec there, which is good. It does have a bunch of technology safety features in there. It's funny, I always think of safety ratings as like amount of airbags and how well it handles a crash. But now those safety ratings incorporate things such as you know, blind spot warning and automatic braking and stuff. Now this vehicle does have lane assist, which if you haven't driven a vehicle with that before, it's a little bit scary at first, because it will nudge, you know, the steering wheel will sort of nudge you if you're creeping out of a lane in that. And my family wagon, the Skoda Kodiaq that I drive, that has that in it, so I'm sort of used to it. I think an older BMW I had also had it in it, so I'm kind of used to it. But I know when people get in, they're like, what is this? So my feedback on that, after driving it for the last hour or so, I find this to be a little bit too, it's not as smooth as my Skoda. So the Skoda, it'll keep you in the center of the lane, right? And just, you don't necessarily feel it unless you are like going straight out of the lane, right? Whereas this, it's more like a ping pong. Like you can be in the lane, and if you're veering to the left, it'll nudge you hard and it will take you right off to the right, and then it'll sort of back and forth. And it's a bit like, hey, let me take control. And obviously they're only meant to be an assistant. You're not meant to rely on them as such. It's not an autopilot feature. But having driven a lot, well, I haven't used it a lot in my Kodiaq, and comparing it to this, I know the Kodiaq's a lot smoother. Again though, it's just a you know, safety feature, and it's not meant to be autopilot or anything like that. But I did play around in the settings before, and I did see you can adjust the sensitivity, so maybe that would change things. Again, I've only had this for a few hours, and I haven't even taken a deep dive into some of these features. So I think we'll leave it there for the features. What we'll do now is we'll take a tour around the vehicle, and I'll share any interesting insights or thoughts. and then we'll jump inside and have a look inside and run through a few of the features in there, and again I'll share my thoughts and feedback. Okay, so first thing I should mention, these wheels and tires are not standard. These were added on aftermarket. They look pretty aggressive though, don't they? But I'm told that the standard, if you go in and purchase one of these Cannons, you get Cooper tires on there, 18-inch wheels, alloy wheels with Cooper tires. So that's pretty neat, because I know a lot of people really rate the Cooper tires, though I do know some people don't like them as well. But pretty neat. You don't get the US warranty that the Cooper tires have, so I don't know if there's a special deal or anything going on in New Zealand, but I just thought I'd relay that. When you come around the front, you have what I consider to be quite an aggressive look. I'm seeing quite a lot of these on the road today, and yeah, it's quite a unique look, and yeah, it does look good. I mean, I don't think it's silly or anything. It doesn't look ugly. Some people won't like it. If anything, that grille is maybe a little bit too big. It almost reminds me of like some of the big American utes you see, you know, your big pickups. The logo itself sort of reminds me of like the Google Maps drop down sort of icon. But hey, each their own. It's yeah, I mean, it's definitely not ugly. One thing I should mention, the protectors here and on the windows were add-ons as well. They were not standard. When you come in here and see the mirrors, there's actually a camera. You might not be able to see that, but there's actually a camera under there. And there are a few cameras scattered around this vehicle, because it has the 360 top-down camera, you know, parking assist, and it's really, really cool. I like it. When I picked it up, the guy at the dealer said it's one of the best, you know, parking cameras, top-down cameras that he's seen. And yeah, I think he's right. I mean, it's well, maybe not the best that I've seen, especially in some of the European, you know, high-end SUVs and sedans and stuff. But it's definitely decent. We'll have a look at that when we get inside. But it is useful, and even when you come up to an intersection and slow down, it pops up in the screen as well, which is neat. You've got the side step here, and you have keyless entry here, so the keys in my pocket, unlocks the door. Always a nice addition. The sports bar here, I think this is standard on the Lux model, but maybe not on the base model. Don't quote me on that. I asked if you could get more of a functional. If you've watched my videos, you know I don't like the sports bars. I don't know, impractical, right? And I asked if you can get a different version, you know, something with more mounting points and a bit of a rear window protector on it, but he said no, but he said that does come off, so I'm sure he could find it aftermarket somewhere if need be. Tow bar is not standard. It was about $1,600 New Zealand to add that on. Got another reversing camera here. Again, this hard top is aftermarket add-on, but let's open that up and we can have a look inside. Now what's cool is you've actually got gas struts here. My T60 doesn't have that, though I wish it did. The amount of times I sort of just drop it and slam and it bounces away, and I'm always scared the cable's going to snap. So that's a nice little addition. It's all standard stuff. The deck liner in here is standard as well. It doesn't come up over the edge. Again, if you've seen my facelift T60 video, nor does that. The tough deck doesn't come up over the edge, which I don't like. I was talking to the dealers today, and he said you can get some add-on strips for that, whether you just come up flat or come up and over, which is really cool, and I'd recommend that if you're going to be using this ute like on a farm or, you know, for firewood and stuff, which is what I do, just to protect it, because yeah, I've used my T60, done lots of firewood and stuff, and already it's got dents and stuff, which kind of sucks. One really cool feature, and I wish my ute had this, is this rear step. You push this button here, push it hard, kicks out, and you've got this little step here. Holds 180 kilos, so I just weighed myself before at the gym and I'm about 98, so I'm good to go. So very useful. You can stand on that and then up you go onto the deck. I think that's wicked, like seriously, really, really cool, because with my T60 I get up and, you know, I use my ute and the tray a lot, right? Mulch, firewood, all sorts of stuff. We did hay 2 weeks ago, you know, I was using it over the farm, throwing in hay and stuff. Now I either climb up like so, and I've ripped shorts before, and once I thought I was going to tweak a muscle. That's one way of getting up, or the other way is I come around to the side, and I actually stand on the tire, grab the bar and lift myself up. That's probably what I do more often than not. And one time though, I had a really bad scare. There was a bit of moisture on the ground and on the tire. I went to stand up. I was in my jandals of all things, and I slipped. I obviously wasn't right at the top. I slipped off, came down, scraped my leg. It was horrible. So, but I still do it. So anyway, a bit silly. So yeah, I really like that concept. It's just practical, and it's probably not taking up too much space or too much extra cost as well. The first LDV T60 I had actually had 6 tie down points, 2 at the back, 2 at the front, and 2 on the side. I really like that. My new model only has the 4. The way I see it, the more the better, right? So 2 down low, 2 at top. So there's plenty of space back here. Definitely not an issue, you know, if you've got big legs or anything like that. I'm 5'10", and there's still plenty of clearance there. Down the center console here, you've got 2 air vents, though unfortunately you don't have your own climate control back here. And then beneath that, you've actually got a 220 volt power point there, which is neat, and a USB charging point. I've got some pockets, storage pockets on the seat. Space down on the door well here for a bottle, electric windows, and that plush sort of material that you're getting in the nicer spec model here. Plenty of handholds, which is good for utes. You've got a rear rest in the center here, and you've also got curtain airbags all through here. Same on the other side. I don't know if there's any side curtain airbags. I don't think there is. One thing I will mention though about the rear is there's tons of storage underneath. Let me show you. So under the actual seat, I noticed when I put a bag back here, I was like, oh wow, there's a heap of room there. So that would be good, you know, for anything. I mean, for storage, for rear passengers, you know, if they got belongings, bulky things, they can chuck it in there, blankets, if you're going away with the kids or something. Or if you're on the farm, you got tools and stuff, but you still want to keep seat space, you know, heaps of space down there. So I really like that. All right, let's jump in the front and have a look. Okay, so you can see you've got your electric adjustable seats. You've got side airbags there, which is neat. Quite a decent center column coming through the middle there. Reminds me of like some SUVs. The door, we've got, again, that nice soft plush. I don't know if it's real leather or fake leather. So once you're in, you feel like there's plenty of space in here. It's definitely a big inside cabin. If you've got a passenger, you know, you're not cramped in the center console here. In fact, it's quite spacious. Let's have a look at the dash. Now remember, this is the top model with the digital dash, so obviously at the moment everything is off. Once I hit the start stop down here, you're going to see that come to life. You know, first time in here, it looks a bit busy. There's all sorts of things going on, but you can see your speed, your revs in the middle. You've got a few of your safety things already on, fuel, all that sort of jazz. Nothing too special. Over here on the entertainment or infotainment, you'll see soon, yeah, there we go. We've got all your menus on here, radio, media, phone, Apple CarPlay, all that good stuff. But what I do like the fact that there's buttons here, okay? Again, if you see my videos, I hate the vehicles that are all digital. It just drives me nuts. Like if I want to quickly turn the aircon on or off, or change the state volume or something like that, I want a physical button. So this, I think, even though it looks busy, it's definitely a lot busier than maybe the LDV T60. Even though it looks busy, I think once you get used to it, it'll work really well. A heat adjustment here on a dial, so you can quickly, you know, make it hotter or colder. Fan here, real quick. I like that, you know, just quickly turn the fan up or make it hotter or colder. Through the center here, you've got more of your heating options, auto, circulating air mode, windows, and all that good stuff. Again, you can just quickly push it. You don't have to go through menus or try and figure out where certain functions are. Beneath that, you've got, what is this? ESP, forward assist system disabled. You've got, what's this one? Descent control, I guess. This here, the dial here is volume control. Pretty simple. Again, I like the fact that there's a dial. My LDV T60 has a button for volume, hate it. And my Skoda Kodiaq is a touchscreen button. Drives me nuts. I mean, you've got a control on the wheel, but hey, this isn't about the Skoda. So yeah, good to see that there's a dial there, though it's weird it's a little bit smaller. It feels too small. I mean, it should be that size, but anyway. This button here is all your safety stuff, so it should bring up a menu. Here we go. Automatic, emergency braking, lane support. Now this is what I was talking about before. You can actually go in here and play around with the settings and stuff. I haven't had time to do that, and I won't have time to do that. Braking system, you can play around with it all in here, so quite cool. That touchscreen works really well. It's not laggy or anything, not low resolution, which is good. In fact, while we're in here, we've got a heap of settings. Driving settings, comfort, seat settings. What's in here? Seat heating, passenger seat heating. I wonder if there was another way to do that. I actually don't see any physical buttons. It would be good if there was a button for that, but maybe there is, but it's a bit silly if you have to come into here. Lamp settings, all sorts of settings. I'm not going to go into all that stuff. This button here is your, see how cool this is your 360-degree parking sensor. Now, what I don't like is the Japanese writing, like the Chinese writing, sorry. Why do they have that? I mean, that's a 2-minute fix, isn't it? I don't know, it just straight away, you just feel a little bit cheap, but that's the first real instance of, oh, this is a cheap feeling ute, and it's not. Like, I know it's priced and marketed as more of a lower end. Well, it's not even marketed. I'm getting things wrong here, aren't I? I know when it comes from a price point of view, and a lot of people perceive it as a cheaper ute, but you know, $45,000. You look at the specs and the features, it's not right. So yeah. I mean, that's a 2-minute fix, so a shame that's happened. But you've got top-down camera here. I know it probably looks a bit ugly, but I'm parked in just this off-road sort of dirt area, so that is what we see. This is my rear camera. I can hit 3D here. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, here we go. So I can scroll through different options, rear camera, top. But what was really interesting, I'll see if I can get some footage. When I was coming up to an intersection, maybe we'll test it when we leave this little side road. It will show you as you're driving, you know, what's outside and how close the other car is and where the lane is. So that's really cool. Obviously, you got your markings for, you know, where your current wheels are lined up and stuff. So I do like that. It's really nice. My T60 doesn't have that. I think the new bi-turbo T60 had some of these features. I can't remember. This is why I want to get them both side by side and just go through everything and compare it. It'd be cool. You may have noticed there is automatic window wipers on it, which is great. It's just started raining. Up here you have, I believe this is auto dimming rearview mirror, which is neat. You've got your various lights and all that sort of function up here. The seats are nice and soft. They don't feel cheap. Remember, this is the top model, so you know, you wouldn't expect cheapness. And then when we come down here onto this dash, what we see is we've got this stick. What do they call it? The joystick. You got park as a button, reverse, neutral, manual, drive. Over here we have a steering adjustment. So when I press this button, steering, light, comfort, sports. Now I just noticed this before, in fact, so I haven't actually played with that. I wish I had. But it will just tighten up the steering. I did find the steering to be a little bit too light, so yeah, it's good to know that's there. And then you've got your low four-wheel drive. Now, I believe the Cannon is a permanent four-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive as I usually refer it to, which is really cool because it's delivering power to all four wheels at any time. And now, in theory, how it works is the computer on board will be sensing if there's lost traction or anything, and it can divert power around, which should give you better handling and, what I value, better safety. You know, if you hit a patch of grease or something, or you know, you drive a little bit too fast around a corner, it can help you control and keep that traction. So I really like that. In fact, going forward, any new purchase I make in a vehicle, that's a requirement. So our Skoda Kodiaq is all-wheel drive, and unfortunately our Ute's not. So when I upgrade the Ute, you know, I'll definitely be considering this for that feature. Really cool. Down here you've got this little jog wheel. So at the moment we're in comfort mode. You can rotate it to eco and then to sports. Now I haven't looked into this too much. I had it on sports before and in normal standard. It's a little bit more responsive in sport mode. It just drops the gears down a little bit more, you know, so you've got a little bit more power on hand. Eco is obviously going to be doing the opposite. You're going to be getting a lot more better efficiency. Normal is a bit of a compromise in the middle. I don't know if that tightens up the steering. I guess it would. And I don't know if it changes the suspension or anything like that, so apologies. If I do a full review on this later on, I'll be sure to test those things and report a bit more on them. Now down here you have 2 USB ports. You've got your old school USB plugs. I've actually been driving a Skoda, the smaller version of the Kodiak, GMX, I don't know how to pronounce it, and I noticed all the USB plugs are the new USB-C, so the world's moving that way, but GWM are still keeping the older school ones, which is all good. Glove box, nice event controls here, reminds me like of Mercedes. Yeah, all right, now let's look at the steering wheel. So again, it looks a little bit busy, but hey, any new vehicle you get into these days looks busy at first. I'm sure you got used to it. You got volume over the side here, voice assist. I personally never use these. Controls here for maybe controlling the stereo settings and whatnot. Haven't really played around with that. Cruise control over here, haven't really used that either. This will be for your phone and skipping tracks and whatnot. All pretty standard stuff. Now you can see the pedal shifters here. See what I mean? They're quite thin or narrow. Like when I'm holding it, you know, a few times I was just sort of slipping. They should be another, I don't know, 5-10 mils thicker. That would be cool. And then you've got your lights and whatnot over here. Automatic lights, automatic windows wiping, and all that jazz. Down here you got your console lights, all standard stuff. One thing I did notice, I feel like it's quite a dark day, like it's raining at the moment, right? But I still feel like this was a bit dull, and I checked if I could bump up the brightness, and it was on the highest setting. I feel like if it was a really bright day that you know, you got the sun coming in, you'd lose some of this. But hey, I don't know, maybe it's hard to say without actually. And then when we come in here, you have you lift this up, you've got a little sliding tray there, which I like. You know, you've got more space at the back here, or you've got your cup holders here. I do like that. I know I keep going back to the Skoda Kodiak that we have, but that's what I'm driving a lot of these days. This piece here comes out, you can flip it up, and you got different, you know, options for storage. But it's just annoying because it's kind of, you want it there some days, other times you don't. So I actually like this little idea. Works really well. And then of course, you know, you got your coffee cups, and then you've got the perfect place for your phone here, phone and keys and wallet, you know, for the wireless charging and stuff as well. Now, one thing I forgot to talk about was my thoughts on this vehicle, and also how does it compare to my Ute. Now, of course, it's much nicer than my T60, just inside. You know, it's really, really nice. Obviously, you're getting a lot more power, there's a lot more bells and whistles and features, so on all those points, yeah, I mean, it's better than my LDV T60. How does it compare to the new bi-turbo T60? That's the tricky one. I mean, I have only driven that once, and that was a few months ago now. I took it for a really short drive, shorter than I've had this vehicle, so I can't even remember that much about it. I know power-wise, there was a ton more power in that upgraded T60 compared to my one. But yeah, it's really hard to know. And I can't remember all the prices of that model off the top of my head as well. So if you're looking at the Canon and weighing it up against the T60, thinking which one should I go with, unfortunately, I can't give you a clear answer right now. I know right now, if I had to choose between this and my current T60, I would choose this, just because, yeah, like I said, it ticks a lot more boxes, right? And I think price-wise, I mean, I think it is still pretty comparable. So what I will mention though, this is the top luxe model. You know, it's really nice inside, okay? Like, I personally would find this a little bit too nice for my Ute, because I use my Utes on the farm, getting firewood, like I said, getting supplies for the farm, you know, going hunting, whatever. I don't really look after it as such. It's just a runaround Ute, which is why I ended up on these lower end, you know, more budget sort of Utes, because I just wanted something that I wouldn't get too worried about if I dented it or scratched it or whatever. Now, my Ute, for instance, we've had 2 days of haymaking. I've done a couple loads of wood. I've used it for lugs and posts around. It's a mess, and I don't mind it. You know, it's a mess inside, it's a mess outside. Hey, it's all good. Whereas with this, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'd have to keep it clean because it's so nice in here, right? So, all right, and I think that's it. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you found this useful or interesting, please give me a thumbs up and a like. If you got any questions or want to know more about it, not that I'm an expert on these, but if you want to know my thoughts or opinion on things, please leave them below. If you would like to see a full review, you know, I test drive it off-road and do some towing and even compare it to the new LDVs, please let me know as well. I'll do my best. It's so hard to get these vehicles at the moment. I mean, I'm not a car media company or anything like that, so I'm literally asking for favors. So I really appreciate Auto City here in New Plymouth for letting me play around with this today, and I'll do my best to, you know, get some more footage and some more reviews and stuff. So again, leave any questions, comments below. Be sure to hit subscribe so you can check out those upcoming videos, and if you want to see my LDV T60 videos, I'll put links to that below as well. All right guys, see you soon, bye.